Cheers, I do, buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, for the purposes of this video. Anyway, hey man, so I found this one, well, I would say recently, but I guess it has been. I actually picked it up a couple months ago, but I just kind of socked it away, waiting till as we get closer to St. Patrick's Day and when they get through Valentine's Day. But I've had it for a little while. Product of Ireland, the legendary Silkie Irish whiskey. I hadn't had it before. In fact, I wasn't familiar with it at all. A signature blend of double and triple distilled malts with soft grain whiskey and a hint of peated malt, inspired by the legend of the Donegal coast. What's interesting about this is that most Irish whiskeys tend to want to be at 80% regardless of year, but this one comes out at 46, or I'm sorry, 80 proof. Meant to say 80 proof, not 80%, but 80 proof. This one comes up at 46%, which is 92 proof. So the Silkies of the Donegal coast are mythical shapeshifters who shed their sealskin coats to become irresistibly enchanting sea maidens with long dark hair, deep soulful eyes, and beautiful voices. The legendary Silkie Irish whiskey is inspired by these legends and is made to be savored with friends over a good story. Fresh green apple gives way to elegant malt notes, gentle spice, and warming stem ginger to finish. Non-chill filter for a richer character. Enjoy neat on the rocks or with ginger ale for a silky raw. Anyway, so I've got exactly 1.5 ounces poured neat in my Glencairn here. And I've got 1.5 ounces on the rocks. So without further ado, I'm going to get right to this rock, so I don't want it to melt much more. You can feel that peated malt, though. They say just a hint. That's the first thing I notice is that soft smoke. Irish whiskey, once referred to as the smooth, sweeter one. As I know that Scotch drinkers hate the descriptor smooth for some reason, and that's the only thing I can think of because it's typically used to describe Irish whiskey, and it really gets under their skin. Because Scotch drinkers, for some reason, think they're better than everybody else. But yes, they do tend to be a little softer, a little smoother, a little sweeter. But yeah, the first thing I did notice right away here, even with this on the rocks, is that soft smoke. Yeah, wow, that's interesting. So, yeah, obviously you're going to get that hint of peat. You feel it a little bit right at the beginning. You feel it the most at the end. But in the middle, that's what's interesting here. Vanilla, a lot of vanilla, some honey, some heather notes. Yeah, a little vanilla, honey, heather. Yeah, that's nice, man. So here's the thing with On the Rocks with Irish for me is that there is that sweet spot, right? You get that right amount of cold, that right amount of water to melt in there, and it really brings that sugar to the surface, really makes it aromatic. But here's the thing with Irish whiskey, even more so than bourbon for me anyway, is you will lose it quickly. The smooth and mellow nature of the whiskey in general, yeah, you get too much water, you're going to kill her. You're going to kill the subtleties. So what I just noticed right there, though, and I had to wait on it a little bit. I didn't pick it up right away. I had to wait on it. You get to that finish. You get the vanilla that kind of runs all the way through, starts out light, then comes to a crescendo right at the end. You feel that peat smoke right at the beginning, and then a little bigger at the end as well. And then you get that nice dry oak right in the finish. But after that's done, after that peat starts to linger away or go away, you get a hint of spice, a little bit of cinnamon right at the very end. But you got to wait on it. You got to let that drink settle before you go to the next one. If you don't wait on it, you're going to lose it. But you are going to get some spice in the finish. Got a hint of honey sweetness, just kind of lays there on you. Kind of gradually sweetening everything up. Gosh, that was good though. I honestly can't remember exactly what I paid for it because, like I said, I bought it a couple months ago. I think it ran about 30-ish, which I kind of cringed, right? Because it seemed like a lot to pay for a blended Irish. But at 92 proof, I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. It is good. You do feel a lot of malt whiskey notes, though. I mean, I'm going to tell you, you do feel some of those malt whiskey notes. Just enough peat to let you know it's in there, but not excessively peaty. But if you're an Irish whiskey purist, it's not going to work for you. And I'm close to that, but I was curious about it. Oh, mercy, Percy. But yeah, there is a reason why Irish whiskey in general is referred to as a smooth, sweeter one, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, folks will complain that it's not bold enough, right? Irish whiskey's boring. I disagree. Just because you don't have the palate to pick up the subtleties doesn't mean it's boring, and that's my argument. Is it is much more subtle than a Scotch. Scotch is very big. It's bold. It's right there in your face. Or Irish whiskey, like I said, with the spice and the finish, you kind of gotta wait on it a little bit. You gotta relax. Don't get in a hurry. You know, much like your woman. Don't get in a hurry. Relax. It's gonna get there. Yeah, I mean, you gotta wait. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound sexist there for a second, but yeah, you gotta wait on it. The flavors, the aromas are there, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot of subtleties that if you're not trying to find them, you're just not going to. Some pear notes there I just picked up, some apple, slightly tart apple, I should say. But yeah, I gotta admit though, as much as I am a bit of an Irish whiskey purist, that little bit of that peat malt, just that hint of smoke, is nice. It does work well with the sweetness that is in there. Again, vanilla, honey, heather. I mentioned there at the end some apple, some pear notes. But yeah, someone that does drink mostly bourbon, it is very subtle. Well, these flavors, these aromas are very subtle, and for some of them, you've got to wait on it. You got to be patient. But it's not to, you know, for those that say Irish whiskey is boring, clearly just don't have the palate for it, and they don't have the patience to wait on those flavors because they're there. They're there if you got the will to pick them up. So there you go. And now I'm going to see if what I suspect is right as I go into an ounce and a half neat. Oh, you see, the nose tells me I'm right. So what I was going to get into there is, yeah, I expect it to be a little bolder and neat. That's the thing with Irish whiskey, though. If you're going to drink it on the rocks, you can't let it wait too long because you will lose it. It's very silky on the nose, man, and those peat notes that I mentioned there that I got in such a big way on the rocks. It does feel just a little bit more subtle on the nose, but I think that's only because those other aromas are right there with it. Whereas the peat was up there in a big way on the rocks. Here, it is met with those other aromas that I mentioned: the honey, the heather, the vanilla, the very light toasted oak. But yeah, it's very sweet on the nose. I really get that honey in a great big way here. You really feel those heather-like notes in a great big way. So yeah, it is much more aromatic, much more balanced aromatic, I should say, neat. 92 proof. Yeah, man, that is easy drinking. So yeah, so I can go into the flavors, the aromas, the middle, the finish, but I want to skip a beat and go right to right to the synopsis, which is the one thing I do love about this whiskey, and I'll go into that other stuff later. Is well, the intrinsics, right? The things that you might not talk about. The mouthfeel, the viscosity, that is just gorgeous here. So I mentioned the flavors and the aromas that you might have to wait on the rocks. You really don't have to wait on them if you're drinking it neat. It's right there. Uh, Maybe a little more subtle than say a Scotch, but they're there. Especially that spice that I mentioned, it will come at you. But the first thing you notice, the first thing I notice anyway, is the sweetness. I get a combination of honey, a little bit of a light brown sugar, not dark brown sugar, light brown sugar, because very, very, very light molasses notes. Like a vanilla cream sugar running all the way through it. Again, you get those hints of heather, and you get that those spice notes in the finish. Cinnamon more so than anything else, but a little bit of allspice. Again, I do find those fruit notes as where will pear, some apple. Oh, that's just gorgeous. That's beautiful, man. That just makes me misty. Yeah, I was curious. You know, of course, you know, I buy some blended Irish from time to time just to have around, but I haven't bought any for quite some time because I've really been feeling the craft whiskey market here, especially small batch bourbons and small batch whiskeys. I grew up drinking bourbon and I found Irish in my early 30s, and for about a decade I drank almost nothing but until I kind of went back to my roots, and of course, and now in my mid 50s here, I've really enjoyed the small craft whiskey explosion that we have here. But when I find a whiskey like this, I say, oh, it can be. Because as much as I do prefer single malt Irish if I'm having one, especially if I'm drinking neat, this one's pretty special, man. There's a lot going on here. And I talked about the subtleties on the rocks. It's not quite as subtle neat. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it or it's harsh. It's just more upfront with its feelings. Let's just say. It is very easy to drink. Whoa. Lost the camera there. Hold on a second. Well, darn, I don't know what happened there. We lost my gap. There we go. See if I can fix that up there. Stay. And if my camera fell down, technical difficulties here at the Whiskey Whisperer house. I think I was laughing too loud and the vibration shook it. Anyway, I think the point I was trying to make, though, yeah, it's a very nice whiskey. I wasn't sure that I would like that peat malt in here, right? Because like I said, if I'm drinking Irish, I am a bit of an Irish purist, but that little bit of peat malt works because it doesn't really give it the feeling of a Scotch. Because you still feel those Irish whiskey notes. I mean, the honey, the heather, the vanilla. But that little bit of smoke gives it just a little bit more character. I ain't gonna lie, okay? I would love to really not like it at all because it has that peat malt in it, but that addition of the peat malt really takes it to another place. So there you go. But again, I want to say one more time before I wrap this video up that the flavors, the aromas are outstanding. You know, the intrinsics, the mouthfeel, the viscosity of this whiskey really is something else. The indescribables, everything about this whiskey comes together in a very good way. For about a $30 price point, yeah, it's a damn fine whiskey. So there you go. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer. Whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor, wisdom, and all around good guy. Cheers, guys.